Picture this. The year is 2009, a monumental year for gaming. And unless you were making weekly visits to your local Blockbuster to check some of these games out, you could have easily missed out on some of these bangers that were dropping seemingly every other day. One game in particular I feel like some people missed out on was that of X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged. See, Wolverine Uncaged I feel like was slept on by a lot of people because on the surface it seemed like just another cheap movie tie-in game that was never going to live up to the film that it was based on. And man, if that was your take, I can't begin to tell you how wrong you were. Because not only did this game adaptation live up to the hype of the film, honestly, in a lot of ways, I think the game was even better than the film. Hell, I'd even venture to say this is probably the best rendition of Wolverine in gaming we've had in the last 15 years. And it's like the only Wolverine game too. But be that as it may, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the most savage, brutal, unhinged superhero game ever created. So go ahead and cue the music, bub, because things are about to get wild. So as I mentioned earlier, this Wolverine game isn't like your typical superhero game, okay? It does have the aspect of the beat 'em up styles that most superhero games have, but it also takes a lot, and I do mean a lot, of inspiration from God of War. With some of the combos, some of the boss battles, just the way the visceral, bone-crunching violence takes place. I mean, just look at how this game starts. The first thing you experience is the CG cinematic of Wolverine in the future just absolutely annihilating the special force team of soldiers. And then immediately after that, we get a flashback of you with Team X going to Africa, getting your helicopter blown up, and you're literally skydiving on top of some unlucky motherfuckers. There we go, dude. This ain't a little kid's X-Men game, buddy. That's one thing I think that's like really lacking in a lot of superhero games. It's like when I'm playing Batman and I curb stop someone, I want to see that jaw dangling, dude. If I'm Spider-Man and I'm kicking a guy off a rooftop, I want to see a body slam into the freaking car, you know? But maybe I've been watching too much of The Boys. But still, here's the thing. This Wolverine game just goes so damn hard. And it doesn't need to, you know? It was a movie tie-in game. And a lot of that has to do with the combat for this game. And what makes this combat so freaking awesome is, you know, you obviously have your light and heavy attacks, which every beat 'em up kind of has. But the combos are just so easy and just so destructive to land on your foes. So you can literally grab them and toss them at other people and slam them onto the ground. You can even at some points execute them in super brutal ways. You can also block most enemy attacks, dodge them, and of course you can counter them if you parry it just right when you're blocking and hit a whole nother combo that just does a shit ton of damage to just about anybody in the game. The other factor that's really cool about the combat is just Wolverine's regeneration. There's nothing like having this whole all-out battle and just watching all the injuries you sustain slowly dissipate and your skin just regenerate back on its body. It's freaking crazy, dude. As you kill enemies, you know, you get experience points, and depending on how fast you kill them or how difficult the enemy is, you get even more experience points. And what you can do with those experience points as you level up throughout the game is you can upgrade your character, upgrading the claw damage, which also unlocks more skills. And you can also unlock damage modifiers and duration modifiers for different special abilities you can use throughout the game. But with that being said, with these special abilities, how you're able to use them is based upon this rage meter. So as you're doing combat and getting kills, you're consistently getting orbs to fill up this meter. Once you get that rage meter up, you can use your special abilities. And you have a couple different ones. Like you have this spinning claw attack that just absolutely just destroys everybody in range. You have a freaking corkscrew diving attack that just fucking rips every limb off of anybody in sight. Then you have this berserk mode, and your claws just start glowing red like some anime shit, and your damage goes up. And as you upgrade it, you even can get your health to start regenerating as you're just mangling and brutalizing everyone around you. You also have this like tornado ability where you can just keep like constantly smacking down with the claws. This just seemed to destroy everybody later in the game.
Now that's a lot of damage!
And all this is great and all, but the biggest and best part of the combat is the freaking lunge ability, dude. Let's be real. This ability is the sickest ability in the game, and my god, I'm sure probably half the game I was jumping victim to victim, sometimes stalking my prey before I lunged and gave him the stabby stab McSpecial right there. Another thing I forgot to note in terms of upgrades is there's also perks that you can find throughout the levels that are called mutagens, and they also can help boost all of your stats to make you that much stronger than you were before. And on your first playthrough, the game really does a good job of keeping you strong in the beginning, but not too strong, because there's certain bosses and enemies you face, they're kind of a pain in the ass in the beginning, but by the end of the game, like I said, when you have some of these special abilities, melts some of the mini bosses you have to deal with later in the game. And I kind of look at the bosses in the game as like the good, the bad, and the ugly. With the good, you know, some of the best boss fights in this game are going to be instances like where you're basically having a barroom brawl with freaking Sabretooth, and you guys are suplexing each other onto tables, destroying this family-owned bar. You fight a freaking sentinel at one point in this game. You have a big multi-phase battle with Deadpool. Another one of my favorite fights was you fight the Blob in a freaking grocery store. And you're literally stabbing him in the neck and riding him like a jockey through the fucking grocery store, so he's like slamming into all the food and stuff. I mean, it's just wacky, dude. Like, there's just so many good boss fights. And then the bad is, you know, with some of these mini bosses you get spammed with, the Leviathan, you know, is fun at first, but it kind of gets old because once you fight this boss, it has 2 phases. In the second phase, you can't hit it, so you have to keep jumping on top of him. And, you know, after you've done this fight like 3 or 4 times, it gets a little old. But the ugly part would be the Wendigo. Dude, fuck the Wendigo, bro. I don't know what that big motherfucker is supposed to be, but I'm gonna go put this back and leave that guy. Something tells me we're gonna have to fight those guys pretty soon. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh my god. Late game, the Wendigo gets dispatched easy, but in the early game, you have to constantly just basically be jumping on his back to attack him. And if you do it wrong, he just catches you. He slams your freaking brains into the ground. There's even one point in the game where you're trying to catch up to this helicopter to fight this other guy and kill him. But before you can do that, you have to fight all of these freaking Wendigos. And my dumbass didn't realize that you could fight them one by one. So I'm running around trying to figure out how to get to this helicopter here. And this damn Wendigo is breaking out all of the other ones. And so I end up with like a 4v1. And I mean, this was a freaking gangbang, dude. Like, let's be real. This shit was a fucking joke, dude. But overall, like I said, the experience I had from this game was, you know, pretty enjoyable. The plot is pretty simple. If you've seen X-Men Origins Wolverine, it's basically the same thing. Wolverine is part of a special group of mutants, do some secret operations. The mutants are assholes and do some really fucked up shit, so he walks away, tries to live his own life, but of course the mutants come back to mess with him. And just like Kratos, you're pretty pissed off with what some people did to you. The other thing that also makes this story so good with the gameplay is just how amazing some of the cinematics are. But just take a look at this one moment on the bridge that happens early on in the game. Holy fucking shit, dude. Bruh. And with X-Men Origins Wolverine, there was actually other ports too. I believe only the 360 and PS3 had the Uncaged version. And the big difference between that port and just the regular X-Men Origins Wolverine is that this version was rated T. Like, I'm sure those games were probably great too, but man, I'm telling you, the rated M version is where it's at. You've got a character with claws, it stabs into people, and is just an absolute beast. Why the hell are you not ripping limbs off? Why is it not bloody? You know what I mean? So, but to wrap things up here, it was definitely fun checking this game out 15 years later. You know, we're doing a lot of retro games lately, so if there's any other games you guys want me to check out on the channel, comment down below, guys. Make sure you like the video down below, share it to your friends if you think they would enjoy checking out this Wolverine game, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. But other than that, guys, I'm Timtationz. I must sign off now. Peace. Who the fuck is this guy?